2 chords, and nothing else. Here is the first one. Let it ring. Now here is the second one. One of those chords was major and one was minor, and even if you have never done a minute of ear training, part of you already knows which was which. The first chord sat bright and settled. That is major. The second one darkened, as if the same room had lost its light. That is minor. You have felt this difference your whole life, in film scores, in pop songs, in every sad advert on television. What you cannot do yet is name it the moment it happens. Turning that feeling into an instant, reliable call is the first real ear training skill. And the entire difference you just heard comes down to a single note. By the end of this video your ear will know exactly where that note lives, and a 5-chord quiz will prove it. Here is everything that separates them. The bright chord you heard is C major, 3 notes, C, E and G. Listen to it again. The dark chord is C minor, and it uses C, E flat and G. Hear the change. Now compare those spellings note by note. The bottom note stayed put. The top note stayed put. Only the middle note moved, from E down to E flat, 1 semitone, 1 single key on the keyboard. That tiny slide is the whole difference between bright and dark. And this is not a special property of C. Every major chord and every minor chord on any root shares its outer notes. The middle note sits 4 semitones above the root for major, and 3 semitones above it for minor. So when your ear weighs major against minor, it is really tracking 1 note in the middle of the sound. That narrows the job enormously, because now you know exactly where to point your attention. Now put the 2 colors side by side on 1 root, and let your ear swing between them. Here is major. Here is minor. And major once more. Notice what stays still and what moves. The frame of the chord, its bottom and its top, never changes. Only the color in the middle tips one way or the other. Major sits bright, open and settled. Minor darkens the same shape without moving a single wall. Try it again, a little slower this time. Major again. Now minor again. Do not analyze anything yet. Just let the 2 colors land, back to back, until the swap feels obvious. That felt difference is completely reliable, and it never lies. What the rest of this video does is sharpen the feeling into an instant, confident call you could make with your eyes closed. When the feeling alone is not enough, there is a way to check. Aim your ear at the middle of the chord. Sing, out loud or in your head, from the bottom note up to the middle note, and judge the size of that step. Listen to the bottom and middle of the major chord, 1 note at a time. That step is a major third, 4 semitones wide, a confident stride upward. Now the bottom and middle of the minor chord. 3 semitones this time, a narrower step, one that stays closer to where it started. That is the tell. Wider step in the middle, the chord is major. Narrower step, the chord is minor. And notice that you are not counting semitones in real time. You are learning what 4 semitones feel like to sing compared with 3. Your voice measures the distance that your ear cannot quite name yet. This bright and dark pair is not locked inside chords either. It survives when the notes arrive 1 at a time, as melody. Here is a rising major third, starting from G. And here is a rising minor third from the same G, same starting note, same direction, but the second one lands 1 semitone lower, and it carries the same shadow the minor chord carried. This matters because real music hands you thirds as melody constantly, and the opening leap of a tune can set the mood before any chord has sounded. So practice both versions. Play the third stacked, 2 notes together. Then play it melodic, bottom note then top note. Listen for the brightness in both shapes. If you can name the third on its own, you can name the chord it lives inside, and the 2 skills feed each other every time you practice. Time to put your ear on the spot. 5 chords are coming, some major, some minor, and on different routes, so you cannot memorize one sound and coast. For each chord, say your answer out loud before it appears on screen. Saying it matters, the silent guess is a guess your memory never keeps. Ready? Chord 1. Major or minor? Commit to your answer. It was minor. Here it is again with the answer on screen. Chord 2. Bright or dark? Lock it in. That one was major. Listen again and watch the middle of the chord. Chord 3. Decide before the reveal. Say it. Minor again. Hear it once more. Chord 4. Nearly there. Commit. That was major, wide and bright in the middle. And chord 5, the last one. Major or minor? Final answer. The last one was minor. If you called 3 or more correctly, the skill is already forming. If you called all 5, your ear is ahead of most people who play an instrument. Before the daily routine, one warning, because this trap catches nearly every beginner. Quality is not the same thing as mood. Volume, register and tone all change how a chord feels, but none of them change what the chord is. Listen to a major chord played low on the keyboard. Now the same major chord an octave higher. Thinner and lighter, but still major. Now a minor chord down low. And the same minor chord high up and quiet. It almost floats, yet it is still minor. A quiet minor chord high up is still minor. A booming major chord low down is still major. So when you are tested, or when you are working out a real song, refuse to be distracted by loudness or register. Ask one question only: is the middle of this chord leaning bright, or leaning dark? Everything else is costume. Now the routine that makes the call automatic. 10 chords a day, spoken answers, and a score. Play a chord, or let an app or a friend play one for you. Say major or minor out loud before you check. Then check, and count the hit. Watch one round of it. Here comes a chord. Say your answer now. It was minor, so that is 1 point on the board. 9 more chords and the round is done, and your score out of 10 goes on the wall. Tomorrow you run it again. The number gives you proof that the skill is growing, and the spoken guess is what builds the connection. Passive listening trains almost nothing. When you score 9 out of 10 every day for a week, this call belongs to you, and it will not fade. So the whole skill rests on one moving note. Major and minor share their frame, and the middle note sits one semitone apart, for above the root or 3. Hear them one last time. That is major. And that is minor. Your ear always felt the difference, now it knows where to listen, and it has a drill to make the call instant. 10 chords a day, answers out loud, score on the wall. That is the entire method. And once major or minor is automatic, a bigger door is already open. Chords are built from distances, and every distance 2 notes can make has its own sound and its own name. Next time, we train your ear to recognize every one of them, intervals, by ear.